Hello, welcome everyone. We'll get started in just another moment. Some people are still coming in off the waiting room, so give them one more minute. Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Allison Weiss, and I'm the Senior Leadership Initiatives Manager at the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber, I would like to welcome the Boston's Future Leaders Class of 2020 and their support system. I'd like to give a huge welcome to all of the nominators, managers, and sponsors who are joining us today, and all of the loved ones and family members who are coming to celebrate this extraordinary class. A quick note that this is being recorded and will be available on YouTube afterwards. The mission of Boston's Future Leaders is to equip emerging leaders with the skills and the network that they need to lead Boston into the future. And this is no easy feat, especially as 2020 gave us rising complexity. In this year alone, we navigated through a global pandemic, an economic recession, and a much needed reckoning around racial injustice. This class is an extraordinary class, and they had an extraordinary year. Together, we studied the top in-demand skills to build your socially conscious and civically engaged leadership toolkit with partners like Harvard Business School. Together, we helped to shape the region through two hands-on projects, your leadership challenge with Massport and your individual action projects back at your organization. And while studying change, we got a lot of firsthand experience with it. This cohort unexpectedly turned virtual, and I give so many kudos to those of you who juggled caretaking responsibilities and work responsibilities and still showed up every day, sometimes with a child in your lap, or made other accommodations to be fully present. In addition, when the world changed again as the killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and others put a much needed spotlight on anti-Black racism and systemic injustice, this group stepped up again, advocating for more inclusive and equitable practices at work, in your communities, and here in this program. You demonstrated grit and adaptability in the face of unexpected change, and today we celebrate you, all that you've accomplished, all that you've persevered through, and that you are now joining an alumni network. The future of Boston is truly in excellent hands. To get us started, I'd like to welcome our first speaker today, Jeff Bellows. Jeff Bellows is the Vice President of Corporate Citizenship and Public Affairs for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts. He's also a BFL alum. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts is our wonderful sponsor, and without their support, we could not offer this program. Jeff, please turn on your video and join us.
Great, thank you, Allison. And thank you to the Chamber team that runs the Boston Future Leaders Program, including Rachel and Celia. I'm so happy to be here celebrating the Boston Future Leaders Class of 2020. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts is dedicated to developing, supporting, advancing emerging leaders, and we are so pleased to sponsor this program again this year. At Blue Cross, we believe emerging and current leaders must have sharp skills in socially conscious and civically engaged leadership in order to create an innovative, equitable, and inclusive city and region. And I know that in this class of 2020 are exactly the right leaders to move us closer to that vision. For example, I've learned that in the past year, you all have studied topics like entrepreneurial leadership, navigating change, adaptive supervision, and effective communications with partners like Harvard Business School, my friend Sue John and her team at Diversity at Workplace, and Suffolk University. As a past program participant myself, as Allison mentioned, I know that you have developed connections with members of this cohort that will last you for the rest of your lives. And you have already made a tangible impact on the city and the region at your own organizations with the completion of the Leadership Challenge and your individual action project. And you persevered and completed the program even as the world completely changed all around all of us. I hope you will take all that you have learned, experienced, and overcame back with you to make your organizations even more equitable and inclusive places to work. With the new tools in your toolkit, you can dismantle barriers and build something even better. And we can't wait to see what you do next. A special congratulations to the 3 Blue Cross graduates, Emma Belzer, Catherine Barano, and Kara Gray. We're excited to see what you bring back to Blue Cross from your experiences. I also want to extend a heartfelt thank you and congratulations to those who supported your participation in the program, your managers, your colleagues, and your loved ones. The success of this cohort would not be possible without all of those who help you get these extra projects done and the extra childcare duties that needed to happen and allow the participants to really attend the session. So thank you very much for all of your support. And I hope you will continue to invest in leadership development programs as they are critical for continued success. The world can't wait for leaders like these, and we must invest in talent. So, class of 2020, we couldn't have anticipated what this year would look like. Similarly, but we hope, and hopefully not anything like this year, but we know you'll encounter some unexpected challenges and opportunities in your career as you continue your career. But now you have new perspectives, new tools, and new connections to help you not just survive, but thrive in the face of the unexpected. So congratulations, Boston Future Leaders Class of 2020. You did it. Now back to you, Allison. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you for your support of the program and for your words of congratulations.
Thanks.
Boston's Future Leaders, together at Harvard Business School, we co-created a model that outlines 3 aspects of good leadership. Number 1, the ability to build and then articulate a compelling vision and mission that we can all align around. Number 2, the tools, the operational and management tools to actually execute against that vision. And number 3, the relationship building skills, the emotional intelligence and the authentic relationships that build that team together to advance the mission forward. And in a nutshell, that is what Boston's Future Leaders was all about. Equipping you with the leadership framework, tools, and connections to help you refine your vision for your career, for your organization, and for the region, and to give you the tools to execute against it in an inclusive and equitable way. And throughout the program, we have emphasized you as the expert. From sharing your artifact stories at orientation to solving wicked problems 3 times, once at Suffolk, once at Massport, and once at your own organization, you have navigated this strange year and left it better than you found it. And that is why I am thrilled to now turn things over to your chosen class speaker, Alexa Hasaram. Alexa was nominated by the cohort to represent them and to share a bit about her experience today. Alexa, please turn on your video and join us while I introduce you. Alexa is a manager in the People Advisory Services Workforce Advisory Practices of EY. She has over 7 years of experience in professional services, including talent development strategy and innovation, business transformation and development, and corporate finance and public accounting. Her vision for the future of Boston when she applied to BFL was to see it grow as an innovation hub and digitally transform into a smart city. Please welcome Alexa.
Thank you, Allison, and hi, everyone. Wednesday, February 12, 2020. This was the first day our 70-plus cohort met at Natixis for our BSL orientation. I remember being in awe of the diverse backgrounds and experiences of our cohort while we each shared our artifacts. Little did we know this would be the only day we would meet in person for this program, or that about a month later, we would be living a wicked problem as the world shut down. To iterate what Khadija mentioned during the board meeting on the 1st, we are extremely grateful for the agility of Allison, the Boston Chamber, and our education partners to pivot to a virtual learning experience during a pandemic. Flash forward to the summer, as we are adapting to this new normal. Our leadership journey was truly challenged. It felt like a rug was pulled out under a lot of us. We grew in ways we couldn't have anticipated when applying to or starting the program, and there may even be some key takeaways that we won't recognize until years from now when we look back on what was 2020. What I can confidently say is that we continue to learn more about how our coaching and communication styles evolved in a remote environment and made us think about how this would differ in person. For me personally, it has taught me how to be a better counselor to my counselees and coach to my direct reports, some who not only started a new job, but launched their careers virtually. And equally important, I am also reminded myself to express what it is I need from others. Some of us experienced anxiety or grief. I sure did. Others had to play dual roles of homeschooling children, and some were furloughed. However, the silver lining is witnessing the resiliency of this cohort to stay engaged, participate, and be willing to lend a helping hand during these trying times. Some people eloped, brought a new life into this world, were promoted, started a new job, or had the opportunity to reconnect with others. As we started meeting in our breakout groups, shout out to Team 10, I valued even more the varying perspectives that our unique experiences brought to the table. For example, collaborating with colleagues in commercial construction, power and utilities, finance effectiveness, hospitality, cloud technology, Greenway Conservancy, and the list goes on and on. We learned that sometimes it's easy to get caught up in our own bubble and not realize the groupthink we may be experiencing when tackling problems, be it professional or personal. The BSL program equipped us to step outside our comfort zones and take the time to reflect on ourselves while also encouraging us to provide feedback to each other. Now, it is our graduation day almost a year later. And I have to admit, while we only met once in person, I do feel like I've had the chance to know a good amount of our cohort more than I had anticipated in this remote environment. As others have said, our leadership journey doesn't end here. It starts here. Now that we've gone through this program, my wish is for this cohort to stay connected beyond today. Let's stay in touch, be it through our Coffee Roulette LinkedIn group, happy hours when large gatherings are permitted again, or even finally making our way to the HBS campus, hopefully a year from now. I am proud to be part of the BSL 2020 cohort and to have learned from and with all of you. We are the future, and we will help shape the future. Per Harvard professor Julie Battilana, change requires that we, as citizens, change our habits, that companies change their practices, and that governments change their laws. Such changes require collective movements. Let's take Professor Battilana's advice and move beyond agitation and participate in both innovation and orchestration. Boston is our city. Let's make it one that we continue to be proud to call our home. One that celebrates and embraces diversity. One that creates equal opportunities for its residents to thrive, be it in our careers, well-being, or simply in our day-to-day lives. Last but not least, one that allows us as social change agents to embark on an ongoing quest to transform Boston for the better. Thank you, and cheers to the future.
Thank you so much, Alexa. I got chills when you said that this is our city because I really couldn't believe that more. And I can't wait to see what this cohort orchestrates and innovates next. Next, we are going to hear from our co-commencement address speakers, Jim Rooney and Sheena Collier. Jim and Sheena, please turn on your videos while I introduce you. Jim Rooney is the president and CEO of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. Previously, he headed the Massachusetts Convention Center Authority, was chief of staff to Mayor Menino, and the general manager of the MBTA. Gina Collier is a founder and CEO of the Collier Connection and Boston While Black, and a board member of the Chamber. She previously worked at the Chamber and at Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative, and her background is in community organizing. Something I really admire about both of them is that even though your backgrounds truly couldn't be more different, you come together as success partners in advancing a common vision forward for the region. And that is why you are the perfect commencement speakers for this group today. Thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Great. First, great job, Alexa. Your words were very inspiring, and appreciate your reflections on the program for yourself and for the group. And I think it was a great choice by the group. I do also want to thank Allison, as well as other people on the team, Celia and Rachel, for their work on behalf of the Chamber and putting this program together. This program has existed as a Chamber program for a number of years, but over the last couple of years, through some of the experiential learning dimensions, Allison has taken it in a whole new direction. I hope you all enjoyed the Massport experience. I tell you, I had a blast having that conversation and listening to all of the recommendations and the thought that people put into it. And I know the folks at Massport did as well. And thank you to Blue Cross Blue Shield for their continued sponsorship, and to my friend Jeff Bellows for joining us today. Blue Cross Blue Shield couldn't have done it without you as usual, and thank you for stepping up in so many ways. So the Boston Future Leaders Program, people have said it well. It's all about preparing the next generation of leaders. And I think, given the moment, we've never needed you more. As I think about this program, and as I think about your participation in it, a couple of observations or perhaps reflections. One is a couple of things you should feel very good about. And that is, someone decided to nominate and sponsor you. Someone within your organization said, this is a person who is contributing in a leadership way today, and I see tremendous potential in to be a leader, not just of this company, but of Boston generally. So congratulations on being seen in that way. Congratulations on giving yourself the gift of time to continue your lifelong journey of learning. We live in a world in which learning is a constant thing. The world is changing very quickly around us. Technology, social norms, the way we interact with each other, and we're all going to have to figure out through lifelong learning journeys like this program how to deal with that. I would encourage you to look back on this year. This will be a year like no one else has experienced, or hopefully no one else will again. And I know that through this program and through just what you've had to deal with in your own lives, personally and professionally, the lessons of adaptability and leading through change are certainly themes we tried to weave into the program, but also just happened quite naturally to each of you. And you each rose to the occasion and led in different ways. And then the last observation I'd make about this program is that I hope it pointed out to you that leadership has multiple dimensions to it. And in some cases, it's a matter of sort of timing. But there's leadership within your company. There's leadership that is formal, that might be granted to you through a promotion or supervising other people or being in charge of a project. And then there's informal leadership. There's the ability to influence the culture of your organization, the way that the organization approaches something. So there's multiple dimensions of leadership within the company. But as Alexa said, there's leadership outside your company too. And as leaders, we take on a responsibility to not just be leaders in a defined space, but also in our region, in our city, in our state, and help lead the way and shape the path forward for Boston and for Massachusetts in our case. So a lot of lessons about leadership that I know happened through this program and through your experience this year. This year was one in which you faced many challenges. Others have sort of listed what they were. Hopefully we all came out of this stronger and better prepared to be leaders in our community. But one of the lessons I've thought about as it relates to this program is leadership that doesn't wait. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you could have chosen to say, you know what, I'm going to put this program off. It's a tough year. You know, how are they going to do it virtually? But I think he demonstrated leadership by not waiting to even participate in this program. Based on the stories I've heard about the ways in which you work to step up within your own organizations and your community to make this a more equitable and inclusive Boston and Massachusetts. You're demonstrating that leadership can't wait all the time. I grew up, you know, I'm a baby boomer, and, you know, we used to be told, wait your turn, right? But, you know, I think it's really good, and it's something that I think has taken hold, is embracing moments and figuring out when your moment of leadership is. And, you know, that's why, as Allison said, I'm thrilled to be joined by a friend, a colleague, a success partner, Sheena Collier, to celebrate you, the future leaders of the class of 2020. And I think of Sheena as certainly a leader who doesn't wait and is all about making the changes and stepping up into that leadership role that's necessary in this moment to make Boston and Massachusetts a better place. So thanks for joining us, Sheena, and I'll turn it over to you about not waiting.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Congratulations as well to everyone who didn't wait and decided to, you know, take your career path into your own hands and still in the middle of an uncertain year, invest in yourself, and your company's investing in you. So I'm excited to celebrate you. And, you know, when Allison shared what the theme was, I thought it was kind of a joke. Like, did Jim tell you that to put me under this? Because I know he definitely knows I don't like to wait, and have done a lot over the last couple of years to create spaces. I moved to Boston 16 years ago now for graduate school. Didn't think I belonged here. Came here from Atlanta, and I'm from New York, and didn't see in prior years before me coming here really a lot about there being people of color in Boston, particularly Black people. Many people had warnings, and my family's from the South, and they were like, you know, why would you be moving to Boston? And, you know, I'm not alone in feeling that way, you know, 16 years ago and even still today. After being here, you know, for almost 2 decades, I know that isn't true. Boston's actually very diverse. And I think that we could celebrate our diversity much more and see it as the asset that it is. But it's still, unfortunately, hard for a lot of people to find community here. Many of you may have come here for job opportunities and don't actually get connected with in the neighborhoods of Boston, with others who are trying to pursue the same things that you're trying to pursue. I see a lot of people that kind of get stuck, for lack of a better word, you know, maybe within their industries and don't really get to explore the city just as a person, you know, not as necessarily someone that works at your company. And so I experienced that. I was able to develop my networking community here and wanted to open up that access and share the knowledge that I have with others. So I founded Boston While Black earlier this year. It's something that's been on my heart, and I would say has been what I do for years, but I just decided to formally create something that people could enter into. So professionals, entrepreneurs, students who are looking for connection and community in Boston, and both those from here and not from here. It's really about creating these safe spaces. And it wasn't planned to be open in the middle of all that's happening in 2020, but it definitely ended up serving a need for a lot of people in a year with multiple pandemics happening at the same time. And so we've been able to create this space for people to virtually come together and experience joy, activate change, tell our own stories. And as Jim said, you know, I didn't wait to have a certain title or for someone to say, now it's your turn to do it. I just created the space that I wanted to have. And that's my challenge to all of you all today. You know, lead from where you are. Look around at your teams, your families, your organizations, your region, and imagine the world that you want to see, and then create it. And I really believe that Boston does present us actually with the opportunity to create the city that we want to live in, because we could look at the many challenges or sometimes deficits that we look at Boston with, but I see them as opportunities to create the region that we want to be in. And so, I couldn't have done it alone. I, as Allison mentioned, was an employee at the chamber for a number of years, and now am a consultant and organizational partner, and I'm on the board, and couldn't have done that without Jim's partnership in particular. And really, the chamber was nowhere on my radar, somewhere in my career path. I have a master's in education and was doing nonprofit and community organizing work. But thankfully, found my way there. And, Jim, we've talked about this many times, but being able to sit down and really share with each other what our goals were really helped us to be really good partners in this. And the Chamber's partnership has definitely been a critical success factor for Boston While Black and us being able to, in just 5 months, having the success that we've had.
Sheena, I want to talk a little bit more about the theme of success partners, because I think in addition to not waiting to exercise your leadership, I think it's important that we talk a little bit about the importance of success partners and what we mean by that. And also the notion that, success partners are unlike mentors and allies. It's something different. And that you never know where you're going to find them or who they are. So Allison started the conversation by describing us as having two different backgrounds and being two different people, different gender, different race, different life experiences. I grew up in South Boston, I guess, AKA Southie, or whatever the current way of saying that is, of the busing era and the racial strife of the 70s and 60s, 70s, 80s. I mean, people in this city just didn't like each other. A tough period of time, and, came to the chamber 5 years ago, and through different life experiences I don't have the time to get into, really felt like the chamber needed to play a leadership role in bringing people together and recognizing and seeing the diversity of our city as a strength and how we position ourselves. I don't have the lived experiences of Sheena. I don't have the filters. I don't think about things the same way. It's impossible for me to sort of mentally process things in the same way. And I think leadership, while a function or something in your toolbox, is the ability to recognize that and find success partners, even though they might not be in the places you might normally go for them. Another dimension of it is that Sheena mentioned she worked on the staff of the chamber, so there was a hierarchy. I mean, I'm the president, she wasn't, but to be success partners, you have to remove hierarchy, right? I mean, you have to be willing as a leader to, sit at a round table of equality and, decide what it is you both are trying to achieve and how you can work together to do it, your concerns, your beliefs, a whole bunch of factors that contribute to each other's success. So for me, it was saying that, I can't do this for the chamber or for Boston without the help of someone like Sheena. So I'd ask Sheena to sort of weigh in on this topic and just encourage you all to think about this concept of success partners. Sheena, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would add to that, again, I mentioned the chamber wasn't even on my radar, very serendipitously of how I made this huge career shift. And, I think for many of us, who we are is a lot tied to what we do. And so I had to grapple with that and decided to make this shift. And so when I came, the work, because eventually the work that I was doing was so connected to my identity. We were talking, the chamber was ramping up conversations around equity and inclusion and rather the lack of equity, and a lot of, I think, Boston's decades of issues kind of coming to a bubbling point. It made me really have to do a lot of assessing with myself around my involvement in it and how comfortable I felt speaking on certain things and where my place was in it. And so with Jim, we were able to have very honest conversations, and, he gave kind of his background. You said gender, race, but you didn't say generation. We're also from different generations. And so, being able to fill in a lot of the blanks for me, as far as, what Boston has been, me sharing my experience in, at that time, the 12 or 13 years that I had been here, and I think the key part was having him listen and understand that, like, I'm having a different experience. And this is what it looks like from my lens. Even when the chamber says these things, this is how it sounds to me, and others who I, have relationships with. And I think the biggest thing, Jim, was you being really open to it, to listening and understanding. And, one of the things that we did that I think was a stepping stone in our relationship, and that we continue to do, was had a very honest conversation about what the benefit for both of us was in building this partnership, and what it meant for the chamber, for me to be in leadership, and what it meant for me as someone who was developing my career and raising my visibility to be a part of the chamber. And I would recommend and definitely urge folks, within your organization or others in your professional life, to find someone you can have that honest conversation with, because I think it helps us all to know that we're making a choice in the pathway of our careers. And I think particularly for us who is working on such sensitive issues around race and identity and belonging and all of that, we needed to have those very open conversations, so that I was able to do that work, knowing that I was actually being seen as a partner, in it. And so I think that was important. I know that we have to move on with the program, and so I'll leave with a couple of things and then pass it over to Jim to wrap it up. But really, I know that we've had every talk we're in, we're talking about 2020, but it has taught us that, what was the way we were operating is not working for folks, for not for everyone. And this is an opportunity for us, the future leaders, I would say the current leaders, to really step into our power and say what we want to create in this world, and put our visions out there. I started Boston While Black using it as a hashtag when I would post about my experience. Now it's a membership community for 250 people, and we have 7 corporate partners. And so there is, you know what you want to see, and what this world needs. And it's really about us having the courage, the partnerships, to put it out into the world. And so the thing I would leave you with, and something that I did that has really made my chamber journey possible, and even beyond that, is I wrote a personal mission statement at one point. And so, because I didn't want to be too tied to what my job title needed to be or what industry I was in, and for me, I was in education, as I mentioned, in community organizing, but I had this opportunity to go to a different place and make a change. And so I wrote down my mission statement and said, regardless of what role I'm in, what is the change I'm trying to create in the world? And that's what guides me, and that's what helps me to even still today weigh opportunities. So, I was a consultant to the chamber. I became a staff member. Now I'm a consultant again, an organizational partner, and a member of the board. And that opportunity to build my platform definitely comes from my partnership with Jim, and really being able to find the path that I wanted to take throughout Boston. So, I think that everyone has that opportunity, regardless of if you're trying to be an entrepreneur or not. or really being able to find one or a couple of success partners that help you to define what your path is going to look like.
Well, thank you, Sheena, and thank you for reminding people of the generational difference. I'll close with, just to remind people of the themes we tried to talk about: adaptability, leading through change. Certainly don't wait for that moment of leadership, seize it, find a success partner. And, I thought that the tactic of writing a personal mission statement that I know Sheena did was a pretty interesting thing to reflect on, sort of what it is you want to do regardless of the circumstances you're in the moment. So, Boston Future Leaders, congratulations. We look forward to all of the great things you're going to do. This is just a step in the journey. As I said at the beginning, we need you now more than ever for all the reasons that our speakers and Sheena have spoken about. And I couldn't be more proud of all of you and the program. So thank you. And Allison, you're back.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim and Sheena. I learned so much from this, and I love that even at this last session of BFL, I'm still taking away different perspectives and different tools, and I definitely want to write a personal mission statement and identify my success partners too. BFL, as a class, we have overcome challenges that we couldn't have even imagined at the start of this program, and you didn't wait to make a difference, which is something that I love and admire about this class. And it's exactly that level of grit, determination, adaptability, and innovation that we need from you to continue to make Greater Boston the most welcoming and inclusive place to work. The future is always uncertain, and you will use the skills that you learned here to shape your organization and the region for the better. We will now display the names of our graduates, and please join me in congratulating them as we show their names by typing in a note of congratulations in the chat window. And please do make sure your setting in the chat is set to all attendees and panelists so everyone can see it. So Rachel, if you can please share the slides with the names of the graduates now. And if you can believe it, that last photo was from the first and in the end only in-person session that we had together. So congratulations, class of 2020. Though Boston's Future Leaders is coming to a formal close now, you will always have a place at the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. As an alum, you are always part of our network, and there's an alumni benefit where you have access to our member rate for programming throughout your career. For guidance on how to stay involved with the Chamber, I now turn things over to Erica Smith, Director of Member Engagement. Erica, please turn on your video and join us.
Thank you, Allison, and congratulations to our Boston Future Leaders class of 2020. As Allison mentioned, my name is Erica Smith, and I'm the Director of Member Services for the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. And I wanted the opportunity to join in today's celebration to encourage you to stay engaged with your cohort, but also with the Chamber as you continue along in your careers. Through this program, you got a little bit of a taste of what the Chamber has to offer, and I want to give you a bit of an overview of the other ways you can be involved post-graduation. The mission of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce is to make Greater Boston the best place for all businesses and all people to thrive, and your participation and engagement helps us do just that. We work towards this mission through a number of initiatives. First, we offer 100 standalone events, or rather over 100 standalone events every year that range from the City Awake events and government affairs forums that you experienced this year through Boston Future Leaders to special events such as our annual meeting and our Women's Network forums. We also research, develop, and advocate for public policies that contribute to the economic success of our region along 6 policy priorities, which are transportation, taxes and good government, housing, healthcare, education, and climate readiness. Thirdly, we offer a portfolio of leadership development programs to give participants the skills and the networks they need for their careers. You've just experienced Boston Future Leaders, and we also offer a women's leadership program and recently introduced a new transformational diversity, equity, and inclusion certificate. Finally, we have an economic opportunity arm that ensures all of the work we are doing benefits everyone. This arm has a specific focus on racial equity. So no matter what your interest or experience level, we have a place for you. The best way to find out about these opportunities is by subscribing to our newsletters. I will share the link in the chat for anyone who needs it. I would also encourage you to take advantage of our upcoming programs, and we'll include a link to our event calendar as well. Your voice matters, and I look forward to getting to know each of you. So as Sheena said, step into your power and truly elevate your voice. We can't wait to see what you do next. And thank you for participating. All right, back to you, Allison.
Thank you so much, Erica. Congratulations, class of 2020. When we kicked off this program together in February, we never could have imagined what this year would bring. I often found myself throughout this year thinking about our good friend and subject of a favorite Harvard Business School case study, Ernest Shackleton. For those of you who are uninitiated, Shackleton was an Arctic explorer who tried to be the first ever to cross Antarctica on foot. However, the ice floes were particularly thick that year, and their ship ended up getting first stuck and then destroyed in the water. These were unimaginable circumstances, metaphorically not dissimilar to the ones we faced in 2020. However, Shackleton was an inspired leader. He kept spirits high and conflict low amongst his crew through a number of imaginative leadership initiatives, including rotating routine assignments, keeping everyone to a close schedule, and actively encouraging fun. Eventually, he set out on a rescue mission that was pretty much considered to be impossible, but he prevailed and he brought every single crew member home alive years after they first set sail. This story always reminds me of the vital importance of leadership while navigating the unknown. Even under less dramatic and harrowing circumstances, research shows that most people leave their jobs not because of workload or salary, but because of people, because of managers. But on the flip side, amazing leaders like Shackleton and all of you can be crucial factors in your team's emotional and mental health, a sense of belonging and equity, and productivity. Shackleton's journey was truly a crucible moment for him. Crucible moments are transformative, often but not always difficult experiences through which we come through with a new or altered sense of identity. And oh boy, if 2020 was not a crucible moment for each and every one of us. Crucible moments have the ability to change for the better the way that we lead for the rest of our lives. From these crucible moments, from our shared friend Ernest Shackleton, and from the BFL program as a whole, especially the connections you made here, I hope you leave with a few leadership lessons learned. First, I hope you remember that definitions of success are not fixed. Though Ernest Shackleton and his crew did not, in fact, walk across Antarctica on foot, there were very few of you who argued that his journey and his mission were not successful because of the way they were able to survive and persevere against unimaginable odds. Likewise, your 2020 goals may now seem a little laughable to you now. I know mine do. But the fact that you and your team are here and you survived and you thrived is a testament to your leadership, your vision, your relational skills, your operational prowess, and your change management finesse. Secondly, it takes a team to reach our goals. Like we saw in the nerve wire case, no one person can excel at all tasks. Instead, you need to be able to build and then properly catalyze a team to their strengths through adaptive supervision, effective communications, and inclusive leadership. Third, the challenges facing our regions are wicked problems, meaning they're deeply intertwined with other problems. And we need cross-sector, cross-regional forces and visions in order to solve them. And lastly, be a palm tree. This is advice that Malia Lazou, who's then at Berkshire Bank and is now at MIT Sloan, gave at an early session that I never forgot. She said that palm trees are deeply rooted, so deeply convicted in our values, our vision, our mission, but they're able to be adaptable enough to sway with the breeze. And I think that's the perfect metaphor for 2020 and for the lessons learned through Boston's future leaders. I truly believe, and I see it every session of Boston's future leaders, that magic happens when emerging leaders come together in authentic relationships. Though Boston's Future Leaders closes today, I hope your commitment to supporting one another, to advocating for yourself, and to creating the conditions for others to thrive in your work and your life never does. Class of 2020, we can't wait to see what you do next. And know that the Chamber is here to support you every step of the way. The region is in excellent hands in your hands. This concludes the graduation ceremony. Thank you so much to all the participants and all the supporters and loved ones who joined us today. Class of 2020, we are going to go straight into the reception now, so you can go ahead and open your other Zoom link. And for everyone else, thank you so much and good night.